day. It's absolutely freezing out. I've got my little blanket. I'm all set. It's all so very cold. Cost of living and whatever means that gonna have to wrap up warm. But how have you been this fine and lovely, bright and shiny, freezing cold week? Everyone, my mum said it had snowed in Wales. It hasn't snowed here yet, but it has been very, very frosty, and it's been so cold, and I've frozen half to death, and I think it's very easy to forget that it's so cold and it's winter, but very soon it will be spring again and summer. Eventually. Hello, who's here? Is it Philip? There's somebody here. It's Peter. Hello. How are you? How are you? How are you? I've had a bit of a week this week. I'll tell you about it eventually. It's a little bit of a sting. I know that I was sort of embarrassed about it. Hello, Scott. That was a bit off there. How are you? How are you too, Jerry? How are you, Our Fingal is still only saying 2 people are here, though. Hello, Philip, too. Everyone's here. The gang's all here. I'm glad that you're well. This week's been very interesting. I went to I don't usually go out the house these days, hardly ever. Last few years it's been like, what's going on? No, how am I? Well, I get into that. This week I went to an event, and this event had several notable people there that were unexpected. And one of them, there was a sort of drinks event afterwards. And when he appeared, I was like, ooh, that's exciting. And then at the drinks thing afterwards, when he was there and schmoozing with people, I was like, oh, I should say hello to him. It was Danny John Jules, who's from Red Dwarf. Now, Red Dwarf, I used to watch that all the time. At my lowest ebb, it got me through a lot. I'd watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it, and I'd just be like, oh, I'm so miserable. I watch Red Dwarf, but I'm so miserable. But it sort of cheered me up for the half an hour it was on. For longer than that, because I'd watch all of it, really. I had it on, what was then in those days, VHS. Long time ago. I've got DVDs of them now, but I haven't watched it for a while. And when you embarrass yourself, you tend to not watch things that are triggering, and that might happen now, because Danny John Jules was there, and I was here talking to somebody, and he was talking to somebody, and he obviously knew that somebody, and I could hear that he talked to her. It's like, oh, ages since I've seen you. We worked together on Starlight. Well, whatever. Anyway, I was talking to another friend of mine, and one of them, who I'm going to name drop now, her name's Layla Hoffman, and she's in something called Gangster Granny. She's in a few different things. I don't think she's Gangster Granny, but she's definitely in it. I think she's in, I know I've seen her in other David Walliams, where she's in a hospital, and anyway, you'd recognise her if you see her. She's been in loads of stuff. Anyway, she was saying to me, who is that? And I was like, it's Danny John Jules. She's like, what's he been in? Like, bear in mind, he's here, and I'm talking to Layla here. I'm like, have you seen Red Dwarf? She's like, no. I was like, oh, well, have you seen Little Shop of Horrors? He's got a bit in Little Shop of Horrors. There's like a bit where he's doo-doo-be-doo in the one where the Audrey 2 is found in the little shop. He's at the front. He's in it anyway. No, she said. So I said, oh, have you seen Death in Paradise? Now, I don't really watch Death in Paradise. I've seen it. She's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. He's in Labyrinth. I know that he does some of the voices in Labyrinth. I don't think you see him. He's in a lot of things. She's like, no. I'm like, oh, no. And I'm like, I think he can see. I think he can hear me saying these things, but I didn't like, whatever. Anyway, he was there for a little while longer. There was like a snacks table, and I was eating the snacks, talking to other people. I was like, oh, I want to say hello to him. But he's talking to somebody that he already knows. What am I going to do? And then he moved, and then he turned around, and I was like, oh, okay. But then he was talking to other people, and we were going to go, because, you do go, and I was like, oh, I want to say something to him because I want to say I love your work and oh, you're very important to me at a difficult time in my life. And I wanted to say loads of things, really. You're so talented, whatever. But he'd already given me the death stare, sort of, like, and I was like, oh, embarrassing, what? And probably overheard me talking about him as well. Not saying anything bad, just saying, rattling off all the things that I know I could think that Layla might have seen when she hadn't seen any of them. She's like, oh no. It's like, whatever. Anyway, other people were coming up to him, but we were going, and I was like, oh, I'm going to say something. So I was like, hello, I'd love to shake your hand. And he was just like, oh, and then I realised that somebody else had come up to talk to him, and I'd sort of blocked her. So it looked like I was like, oh no, then. I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you were talking to somebody. I'm sorry, okay. All right, bye. And I went, and I was like, he must think so badly of me. COVID's not long over. It was an event, and events like this don't happen very often anymore. It wasn't a big event, but, you know, asking to shake somebody's hand is a bit presumptive at the best of times, let alone in these circumstances. Also, he knew loads of people there, and he didn't know me. And I was just obviously coming across as a weirdo, and he might have overheard me speaking. And he just, and also I blocked this other poor person who was just sidling to talk to him. And it was just like, so, like, I was like, oh no. And I said to somebody else that walked to the tube with me, oh no, I've embarrassed myself. She's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm like, oh. And then I was just, because they went down, it was Russell Square, so they went down in the lifts and there wasn't enough room, so I was just on my own then, and we'd all put masks on because it was very crowded, so I put my mask on, and I was just like that, and then for the whole tube journey I was just like, and then for the whole of the day I was like, oh, that's so embarrassing. I think I saw something that said, think about when you remember anybody else being embarrassing. Do you ever remember and other people being embarrassing? No, you just remember yourself being embarrassing. Now I've just got to get over that and go, right, I made a total fool of myself. He looked uncomfortable. He looked angry, to be honest. He looked angry that I'd come up to him and asked, it's like, I'm going to shake your hand. It's like, so embarrassing. Really embarrassing. It's devastating. I'm sort of over it now because I made a TikTok about it and I'm talking to you about it. It's more or less cathartic. Like, I have to get over this because you just have to when you make embarrassing things. It's just like, oh my gosh, I was certainly not tongue-tied, but I should have been. I tried to say hello, but I shouldn't have done that. I was really, 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 really embarrassing. And I wish I hadn't done it. And I wish I hadn't said it. And I wish that I could take it all back. Because nobody shakes hands anymore. I know that for sure. I remember meeting Jamie Farr at another thing, and he said, when people shake hands, remember to put hand gel on afterwards, except he says, whatever it was called, because people don't call it hand gel. What do they call it? I can't remember. He was there sort of to meet people, but a lot of people were trying to meet him. A lot of people were meeting him, and he clearly didn't want to shake my hand. And maybe I am just a weirdo and nobody really wants to know me, and I understand that. But it's still devastating. Yeah, it's right. Good evening, Terry. Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's just like, the fact, it was just the way that he looked at me as if alarmed and angry, and I'm like, I have actually, this is it. I've seen him at another thing that I didn't come up to him at. Like, when I was a journalist, there was, I think it was a Robert Llewellyn thing, it might have been a Chris Barry thing, I don't know. There was some sort of TV show that I was covering. It might have even been Robot Wars. I know that there were at least 3 people from Red Dwarf there. And one of them was Danny John Jules, and Craig Charles was there. But I can't remember whether it was Chris Barry or Robert Llewellyn. I think it was Chris Barry, but don't quote me on it. Anyway, they were just talking amongst themselves at that event, and nobody was coming up to talk to them because it was clear that they were really, really there to meet each other and support each other, because it was one of theirs TV show. And so none of us went and asked him anything at that point, because they were, you know, they were just there to meet the people that they know. And this particular thing, I don't know, I'm just not important enough, and he didn't know who I was, and he may have overheard me talking about him. Not in a terrible way, I was just saying what he's been in, trying to explain it to somebody that didn't know who he was. Anyway, that was so embarrassing. Anyway, I'm over it now. I'm not over it now. But you know, what it is what it is. Other things that have happened this week. My dad phoned me, which is in itself. My dad went to hospital this week and got out of hospital. So that's a good thing. The fact that he's out of hospital. I think he's all right. Hooray for Christmas. I'm going to go and see them in a week, and he's well, I hope. Anyway, he phoned me, which on his mobile phone, which is I'm slime from the air, which is okay. I'll go back again. Jamie Farr, I met him at an event, and he said that after you shake somebody's hand, always remember to put on hand sanitizer, because you meet a lot of people and you get diseases. Now, this was a long time ago. This was a long time ago, before any of these things. And I thought at the time, oh, Jamie Farr, you know, that's a bit overcautious. And I judged Jamie Farr. But in retrospect, Jamie Farr was right. So, harsh but fair. Anyway, so maybe that was just, I hope you feel better too, Bohun. So, anyway, my dad is back from hospital. He phoned me, getting back to this, to say, I've just tried to watch Harry and Meghan on Netflix, and I think that I've signed, because my flatmate he's got Netflix, and it was his account. But when I was home last time, I wanted to watch something, so I put it on, foolishly I think, put it on the TV so that I could watch using that Netflix account, because I'm one of the other people that uses it, and it didn't take it off, and it got cancelled since then. But it didn't take it off my parents. I didn't take it off their TV, and my dad didn't know that, so he went to sign up for Netflix, I think, for himself. But it was still, even though it was cancelled, he pressed it, and so he signed Ollie up to it, and phoned me and was like, what am I going to do? And Netflix has gone up since the last time we checked. So I'm like, well, you're going to have to pay. Obviously, you've done that now. So he did. So that means that we got Netflix. Because he signed us up for another month. So we've got that. And so I watched Harry and Meghan too, and I was like, oh well, it seemed like they came across as they're rich, but they're probably not as rich as they would have been. That they're being rich isn't a crime. Well, maybe it is in this day and age, but apart from that, they seem like perfectly reasonable young people. They're not that young, really. Perfectly reasonable people, and everything they said in the documentary made perfect sense, and everyone's like, she said this, and apparently there's Tory MPs that are trying to get their titles taken away from them. If their titles get taken away from them, then they should take all the royals' titles away from them, because that makes no sense. They've by far done the least offensive things of anybody in the royal family, maybe apart from Princess Anne's alright, and Prince Edward's probably okay. Apart from that, they've all done something. They've all done stupid, embarrassing things, and things that you could argue are unforgivable in a few of the cases. In fairly senior royals' cases, there have been cases that didn't get reported in the British. I remember seeing something a few years ago. There was something that never got reported in Britain, but did get reported farther afield, and I think the Daily Show did a thing about it, and so the sketch, Stephen Colbert did a sort of correspondence thing about it, a specific thing. I'm not even sure about the details, because it didn't get reported over here. My point is, other people have done a lot worse, so they are good people. And also, Meghan Markle was in Suits, and she was good in Suits, so I'm on Meghan Markle's side. The end. So yes, Scott, I'm completely with you there. But if they're gonna have one, then the only people that should stay are Harry and Meghan and their children. I think if you're gonna keep any royals, they're the ones to keep. That's it. I haven't had snow. They have my mum said that there's been snow in Wales, so that might be. So I'm gonna go back in a week and a bit, just over a week. Maybe it'll be all snowy in Wales. Who knows? I hope I can get back. I hope it doesn't snow so much that I can't even get back. Oh, that was the thing. I booked my ticket the last moment. I was like, oh, that'll be fine. I forgot that, there's strikes and there's all sorts going on. And the cost of living, things have gone up. So it used to be that I could get home by coach, National Express coach, for about 20 quid both ways. That wasn't available. So I was like, oh no! So it was like £54 for a single, just one way. I was like, oh no, not doing that. So I looked at Megabus, which used to be £1 for a ticket loads of years ago, but probably not this time of year. There was a fairly cheap one, like there's £12 there. But I've booked a train back, so I'm hoping in the new year that on that day there won't be a strike, because for the first time in quite a long time, I've booked a train which takes half the time and gets me closer to my destination. So I'm going to get a train back, which is probably risky considering there are a lot of rail strikes going on. What else have I done? Oh, I've watched a lot of TikToks, an awful lot of TikToks. I've made a few, but I've watched an awful lot of them. And I've got a lot of theories about the White Lotus, which I think the finale is tonight or tomorrow. It gets shown over here as well, which I'm going to watch. And I hadn't, this series, it started off slow and I was like, oh, I'm not sure I like this. But now I'm like, oh, I don't know what happens. But also, I've been watching a lot of Britney Spears conspiracy videos. I'm like, what? That's ridiculous. All people saying that things have happened to Britney Spears. I'm like, don't be ridiculous. And I'm like, am I interested in this? And then because if you watch one video there, you end up, they get loads of other ones appear and you're like, what? So I'm like, oh, I'll look this up because, these pictures look a bit dodgy. I'm like, what? And then I look at the wedding pictures. And I'm like, they look a bit weird because there's a picture of the dress and it's just on a sort of mannequin and it's got no arms. It's got like a sort of a ridge. And there are pictures of a very strangely young looking Britney Spears in a funny pose in this dress, but there's a ridge there and a sort of choker there. So it's like she's been photoshopped into this, what is just a mannequin that they've posed and then stuck a head on the top, which it does sound bizarre, but also the hands are sort of, they're not finger hands, they're just sort of like that. So they're sort of, when you get AI pictures, the hands are the giveaway as well. So I'm like, this is a bit weird. It's like they photoshopped somebody's head in, a very young looking head. And so I'm like, now, if they've done that, because, there are pictures of loads of celebrities at the wedding, but then all the celebrities are verifiably, surely must have been there, but they all look weird as well. And I'm just like, there's something weird going on here. So, and also there's a little black a little short black outfit where there's like a little pink tail poking out of it. Like, I don't think that Britney Spears has got a pink tail, but there's like this short, if you go look for it, there's like a little short black dress and she seems to be wearing a sort of clutch bag for some reason. A big clutch bag when she's dancing. And she's like grinding and whatever. And there's a little pink tail. And there's some other angles. It's like, what is that? Why is there it could just be a thread or something. It's weird. So, like, the hands are weird. Like, there's one where she's like, it's this weird back, it's like that. And sort of her little fingers, and it's just strange. There's something odd about that. I don't know. Maybe they're just overly photoshopped. But then when you see these really, and you're like, and then people are saying, and then you see a video with the hands. It's just weird. And so I think obviously she got married, Well, for some reason the pictures are a bit dodgy. Like maybe she was busy and they had to, and they just had to pose the mannequin. Trust me though, when you see the wedding dress, the official wedding dress photograph, it's really obvious that the mannequin ridges and the Britney Spears ridges, it just looks like, you know, if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, there's a lot of chest plates. It's like, it's very strange. Anyway, so that's all got mixed up with the White Lotus theories. It's like, whatever. Anyway, I'm sure I don't know, people are like, oh, what if the Britney that's there is a stand-in now and the real Britney? Because then somebody posted something about somebody called Britney Spears being arrested in Hawaii living in a park. And I'm like, what? So I think it's probably just a coincidence, somebody that's got a similar name, or people making things up, which could be it. Anyway, and I realise how easy it is to get drawn into conspiracy theories. I think the point I'm trying to make is it's clearly something weird's going on, but I think it's just bad pictures. But it's so easy to get drawn into conspiracy theories. So, yeah, Chris Crocker. So, Chris, yeah, leave Britney alone. I should leave Britney alone. Leave Britney alone, yes. I think if she is in an unsafe position, obviously people should sort that out. But I think the main thing is I'm like finding myself drawn into these ridiculous theories. I'm going, oh yeah. And I'm like, why am I even worrying about this? It's not my business. Not my business. And I know nothing about Britney Spears. Is Britney? Yes, she does. Yeah, exactly. She's got a chip shop and a butcher shop and everything in Risca. That's where she's living now. It's so easy to get carried away with these things. Really, is the point. So yeah, it's been a week. I don't know. I've got things on this week as well. I've got going out and doing things weeks. So I'm just weeks of things. She probably does have a mega chippy. A Britney Spears mega chippy. Imagine. Anyway, I've got things on this week. I've got things to do and people to see. And that's so unusual for me. Exactly. You can't, Philip. Exactly. You can't. It's just impossible. So I am wondering why I'm thinking all these things are going to happen. And that things are true when they're probably not. I'm very confused about what is true because it all blends in. 1 and 1, do they make 2 or do they make 5? And is Britney still alive? I think she probably is, but I don't really know for sure because it's all very strange and it's all very peculiar and celebrities have such interesting and strange lives. And you think, oh well, they're having such a lovely time, but it's quite obvious that they're really not. And you think, ooh, if I was famous everything would be alright. But it won't be alright. Because famous people have terrible, terrible lives as well. And they're in the public eye and you can't really avoid it. And they have a terrible time and it's all very bad. And if she has really disappeared, then surely somebody would have noticed, apart from a load of people on TikTok that are making things up. But I don't know. And nor do you. Yes, celebrities. Yeah, you're probably right, Scott. They are. You can't interact with them, but then we had an age of interacting with celebrities on things like TikTok, and Twitter, which has probably gone by the by. Did you see? I think Elton John's the latest person to have left. Elton John, who famously did a duet with Britney Spears, where they never actually were in the same continent even. He was in London and she was in LA. So they never even met, so that's not even proof that she was around at that point. Anyway, the point is, you could interact with celebrities, and now you can't really. I'm back in Wales next week, so I'm still going to be here next Sunday, and I will be back, and I will talk more nonsense, and hopefully it won't be snowed in, because the very next day, I gave it away, la la. Wham you all. The very next day, Elton Jones, yeah, exactly. The very next day, I'm going to Wales, so that will be fun. Oh, well, yes, have fun too, Philip. Yeah, but I will be in Wales over the Christmas holidays, so I'll be there for 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. I'm coming back on the 9th, so just nearly 2 weeks, something like that. Anyway, over the holiday period, so that'll be nice, won't it? And there'll be lots of Christmas things to see, but not a Christmas Doctor Who and not a New Year's Doctor Who, so that's unfortunate, isn't it? Yes. Whoop whoop for Wales. Yeah, now I don't think I'm going to get very many walks in and stuff, because it's going to be frosty and dangerous, and sometimes I've gone up the mountain and it's not safe in the mountains in the winter, especially if there's all slidey bits and rock falls. And also, there's a big quarry that's quite dangerous that somebody had a terrible accident over the summer in. And I'm not sure what happened there, but I don't think that it's probably going to be passable now. They've probably cordoned it off so that sort of thing doesn't happen again. So I can't go there. So I really don't know. I've got some videos of that quarry if you want to go and look at it. And it's spooky. It's even more spooky now. Terrible things have happened there. Is it? Nant Gwithon. Where's that? I don't know where that is. The trouble is, I've got no transport now because my dad has let his car go. He's got, not cargo, it's cargo. He hasn't got a car, so there's no transport for me because the public transport is not as good as it was when I was a small child and a teenager, when you could just go outside the door and go straight to Cardiff on the bus. You cannot do that anymore. They've cut them all down. It's like 2 an hour somewhere, if you're lucky. So in the comments, Abercarn, yeah. Say, yeah, I'm seeing that, yeah, Boheme. Everyone's seeing that now, yeah. So it is, oh yes, thank you. It has, I had at least one Christmas in my lifetime that's had snow, but it's not a very common thing in this country, really. I think you have to be somewhere where there is snow all the time. And it's the wrong time of year for the snow. If we've had lots of snow, it's usually been end of January, February time, really. So yes, thank you very much. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. It's been fun. We've had a lovely time. You've helped me get over my misery and woe and my terrible embarrassment and all that. And yay! So yeah, join me next week and join me on TikTok, where I've got TikToks if you want to go there. And which I'm e.Lise Harris there if you want to look me up. Yeah, so you have a good week too, Peter. Everyone have a good week. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, 2010. That might be right, yeah. I can't remember now. That probably is right, Terry. Maybe we'll have another one. Everyone's saying it's going to be so cold. And I've got, you know, my parents have got like blankets, like wearable blankets now, and I haven't, but I've probably got a duvet or something that'll keep me warm there. It'll be fine. We'll have a lovely time in Wales. Yay. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you next week and have a lovely week. You stay warm too. Bye-bye.